the most rapidly dividing cells we have are going to be in our nails and in our hair. And that's why when people do my programs, usually the side effect is nails and hair growing like weeds. I've been doing 9 weeks with strict Goodbye Lupus, 0 to limited fruit, preferred greens being kale. My nails started growing noticeably after 2 weeks, but I've suffered with hair loss for years, and I'm wondering, when should someone expect to see hair growth and nutrients reflected in their skin health? There's a lot of different factors that can be at play here. So one, you know that you are nourished enough to affect cell growth because the nails are growing, right? So if your nails are growing in, the most rapidly dividing cells we have are going to be in our nails and in our hair. And that's why when people do my programs and they get hyper nourished to the extreme, usually the side effect is nails and hair growing like weeds. You know, every single time I go to my hairdresser, she's like, how? How is it just so much hair, right? And same with my son, you know, that it's just nourishment, right? So the fact that your nails are growing tells me that you are doing well with your nourishment. Now, I don't know what the hair loss is from. So one of the things that can cause hair loss is low iron. So make sure that you check your labs and you don't have an iron deficiency issue. If you do, then I would actually take an iron supplement instead of just using nutrition to restore that, because one, you need iron for blood supply, oxygenation, and energy, and it will help with the hair as well. So that's one thing that could affect it. Another thing that can affect hair loss would be stress. So when people have high stress, it causes hair loss. There's even syndromes where people will lose their hair in dramatic amounts after severe stress, either emotional or physical. I remember right when the pandemic started, it was about 6 months in, where I did a full day of interviews for radio shows, I think for Fox, asking about this question: why is it that 4 months after COVID, people are losing their hair? And it was because of the stress, all right? So those are things as well. Now, if your stress is low, your iron is good, and the nourishment's going, then it should improve. So like I said, we're in week 5 of my group right now, and we have someone with bald spots who actually wrote yesterday to us that she can see stubble all along where all her patches of hair loss were. Now, she has pretty severe hair loss. I don't know that if you have bald patches versus if you just tend to have a lot of hair come out in the drain. So, so the answer is, if everything is lined up, then I would expect to see improvements after about a month or 2 months or so. I don't know what else you're doing and whether or not you're getting all of the nutrients you need, whether or not how much food you're eating. But I would say over time, especially 9 weeks, you should be eating more than ever, probably up to like 2 pounds of raw vegetables and all of that stuff. So make sure that you're getting exercise to get that heart rate up, to get that nutrient-rich blood everywhere. Make sure you're dealing with your stress well. And I would expect you to see changes. I mean, usually by the end of 6 weeks of working with me, like in Rapid Recovery, we have you on the highest level of nutrition and oversight and making sure your self-care is effective and making sure your sleep. So I always use graduates of that program as my examples, because I know that they did it and I can see like what happens as watching people daily. But usually by the end of 6 weeks, everyone who graduates can significantly see a difference in things like nails, skin, hair. But again, they're on the highest level program with oversight. 9 weeks in, I would expect to see some improvement. You do see improvement in nails, so I would check. But if you do think there might be some other issues, check things like iron as well.